It's October 6th, 2025. There's 3 items on the agenda. The first being highway concerns, and I appreciate the report that CIO Couture prepared based on the presentation we had from Catherine Prost on September 2nd. It's an item that's up for discussion. Anybody have any discussion? Councillor Peters?
A couple of things I was a little bit confused when I was first reading them as to whether they were our mandate or Ministry of Transport, but I realized after they're both in there, but it would be we would do lobbying, the corridor speed review, those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. One of the things I noticed driving around this last little while is some of the communities, when they have a big mileage change, is they're a triangle with the big yellow and black with the speed sign in the middle of it. So maybe we could look at something like that for coming into the community so that they're like in your face. Because I know both coming in from the north and coming down the hill, not so much this one, it's a little better, but these two traveling in, I often get passed by people coming into town. So maybe having it a little more visible, I don't know if that would help. And then the other one is the school crossing. If we could maybe even look to, I think ICBC, we may have looked into it in the past, having one of those pretend policemen that gets put out at school times. Because a lot of people, when they come in, they don't really pay attention because there's all the signs from the businesses and all the other signs that, they're not really paying attention. There may not necessarily be an awareness that it's a school zone because it's on the highway. So maybe having something like that. It has been proven to be a deterrer of speed. So, and the intersection of Highway 1 and Collins Road, I noticed the full set of trailer tires across the dirt when I went there yesterday. So that in the parking along there is still rampant. But that's all I got.
Councillor Ranta?
Yeah, I agree with the concerns, and I agree with the advocating for the details in the report. The one thing that I would add to it is the I don't know exactly what it's called, but the radar speed communicating sign so that it tells you how fast you're going. I thought that idea was pretty good. I mean, Hope's had that one on the bridge for a very long time. Mm-hmm. We have it going up the hill, down the hill, and I think that it would help as well. So I don't know if that would be a highways initiative or a village initiative or some kind of club, but I think it would be really good to try to put that, add it to the list. Mm-hmm. I know I was talking to the principal of the school here, and she said that she was working with the superintendent to raise a concern about the crossing as well. Mm-hmm. So I've seen an increase in myself, just my personal perception, just paying attention to it, is that there seems to be more disregard for the fact that it's a community and not just a highway. Yeah. And it's scary. It's scary when really it should almost be a school zone. Really, in a neighborhood, having a school like that would probably make that a chunk of the highway a school zone, and we don't have that. So when we were having conversation with highways, it must have been at least 20 years ago. The biggest change, I think I've told you guys this before, is that they went from 8 to 12-inch lights on the crossing lights. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't put, which we wanted, school crossing on top, like a sign that says school crossing with the crosswalk like, so that you, when you're driving down the highway, you see this big sign across the top that says school crossing. Because we felt that the traveling public wasn't really cognizant that it actually was, it wasn't just that it actually was near school, that this was a school area. And I think if the MLA is a way to go, that would be great, but I think it's a big concern. So, yeah.
Yeah, certainly when we tried suggesting a few changes to the ministry, they said, you've got the state-of-the-art system right now. You press a button and the lights start flashing, and
But that's not.
it doesn't seem to work for people. They ignore the flashing lights and
Or
they
they run.
speed through.
Yeah, they speed up because they think it's like a amber light. Yeah.
Yeah, but they said we've got state-of-the-art school crossing protection. It just doesn't work.
Maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah, there's
Well,
definitely
those
other
cons-
systems now.
Those conversations have been happening since we lived here the first time in the late 70s, early 80s. We were
Yeah.
having those same conversations about the crossing and how dangerous it was. So.
Yeah. Well, it's good they've got a crossing guard now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Biebert.
The other thing is, like it was stated, those signs are so small that say school zone, that they're lost in amongst all the other signs. They need to be 2-3 times as big as they are. So that, and bright, so that they can be seen.
Yeah.
And maybe a few more of them further up the road.
Yeah, school zone ahead.
Yeah.
School zone.
Because I don't even notice those signs
No.
coming by the dairy.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to any signs anymore.
You don't see it because they're only
Did you ever?
tiny.
Yeah, I did once. When I was 16.
And the other thing is traffic gets frustrated coming out of the north because there's no passing lanes left. And you get stuck. I got stuck behind somebody doing 70 kilometers an hour from 16 mile to town.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they hit the passing lane, they're going to want to go. So that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of relates to maybe lobbying Ministry of Transportation and Transit on the Cache Creek to Bonaparte First Nation corridor speed review, that it changes so often you don't even, like, I live here and sometimes I forget what speed zone I'm in.
Yeah.
So, maybe having more consistency, either go to 70 at Bonaparte and leave at 70 until you come into town, which probably isn't reasonable, but even if we went to 80 there and left it at 80 right till town rather than set 80, 100, 70, 50,
As soon as it goes from 100
to
to
80,
80, it should stay that
leave
way.
it as 80 till it approaches town.
Anything further on the Administrator Co-Chair?
So just hearing council's comments, going through the items. With the corner bulb that is at the intersection of Collins and Highway 1, what's council's thoughts on that in general? I realize that the picture was scanned upside down in the digital copy of the agenda. But Kamloops, near on the intersection of Versatile and Hugh Allen, near Costco and the casino, there's a roundabout that they have there, and there's a lot of, it's concrete, but it looks like red brick. And so the purpose of that, and they actually just did a bunch of changes near the entrance to Staples. And if you're coming from the south, if you're coming from the east and you come out to go to Pacific Way, so say you're coming from like on the highway from Valley View and you come up and you need to go to Canadian Tire. So the exit that you would take there, they just recently did a bunch of construction like this there. And that's what the photos are. What they're doing is kind of a newer style of environmental design. So optically, like somebody that's driving a car or a pickup will think, I need to stay on pavement. and then they have the bricks for vehicles that need to overtrack. So the red brick space,
It's for the semis. and
yeah,
buses and
semis,
such.
travel trailers, buses, that sort of thing. So they won't hurt anything if they go off of it. So that is something that we could consider, something similar to that in the bulb there.
Well, that would be an improvement in my opinion. This is a picture from Kamloops, I presume.
So
Took me a while to figure
Is
that
there,
out.
Yes.
so I think when that bulb was put in, there was more through traffic because of Chums and the grub stake there. Is it
Yes.
necessary to even have it?
It could be the angle of it. What it does is it pushes the traffic a little bit away from the highway in order to create some
Oh,
stacking for people coming off the frontage road. And so say if you're coming off the frontage road and you want to turn onto the highway, either direction, it kind of pulls that away, because otherwise it'll be a full 90-degree turn. And
People will cut the corner.
well, not so much that. It's because it's so tight there, if you were to try and reduce that, what would end up happening is you would only have room on the Collins Road portion for, say, one vehicle after they've left the frontage road to turn on. Whereas right now there's space for, say, 2 or 3. And yeah, the bulb could just be kind of reduced in size, use the same footprint that's already there and use a different style of.
So brick would dislodge, but there's stamped concrete, I think. is
Yeah, that's
they
what
use
that
in
is.
cabins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was brick at first, and then
Yeah.
I looked at it a little bit
No,
more in
you looked
detail,
at-
and
Well, seeing all the black marks on it, if it was brick, it would have been dislodged many times, so.
Councillor Beaver.
The other suggestion I noticed today is the vehicles, when they're coming to turn right into there, they're coming into that turn lane to the left. Maybe we should just make that one lane going each way instead of 2 turn lanes and 1 lane.
what do you mean? How we have 3 lanes
Yes.
on the end of Collin there?
Yes,
Yeah,
that would give you more room to turn in too.
1 lane in, 1 in, 1 out, rather than 2
Just a little
outside.
bit wider lanes.
And then it would back up Collins a little bit, but it would also lower the amount of traffic able to immediately access the highway. Theoretically, that could be a benefit. Yeah.
Yeah, just because the vehicle's coming, say from the south going towards Kamloops, they're having to make that turn and it's so tight that most of the time it's hard to stay inside those lines.
Mhm.
And it's gonna cause an accident there. Especially when you're using a large motorhome or motorhome trailer on the back or.
Yeah, rather than impacting the bulb itself, just change the lanes.
You could also doctor the bulb too.
Yeah.
But it would make it a lot easier to turn in there for most of the traffic.
What I thought I read here was the idea that we would have the left lane on the Highway 1 from sort of the restaurant up to Collins Road as the through lane, and that the right lane would be a right turn lane.
That was one of the ideas.
Yeah.
But it's challenging. That whole intersection is incredibly challenging. Because I know that previous councils have beat the topic to death. I know that the Ministry of Transportation has beat the topic to death. That's why I thought, I simply uploaded the Ministry of Transportation's guidebook for all of their turning radiuses and designs into ChatGPT and got it to give me some suggestions for conversation.
Yeah.
That was one that it came up with. You could both of them pretty much involve removing the option for both of them to be considered through traffic. You could have it that the slow lane is an immediate merge, so you would put signage and things indicating for people coming from the Ashcroft direction that it's a merge lane, not its own through lane. And so you could establish that as a merge that merged immediately right at the intersection, or merges, like, I think the distance is like 110 meters is what it recommends for 50 kilometers an hour. But the whole distance between that and the entrance to Collins Road is only like 140 meters. So that leaves very little room because people are gonna wanna switch, right? So there was that, or similar, another suggestion that was kind of from that is in Kamloops, again, that same area in the Pacific Way area. So let's say you're coming from Costco and you're going to Walmart, as an example. You would come down Key Island Drive, which is in front of the car wash there. You would cross the bridge heading in the direction of Canadian Tire, and then you would turn right and start going down the hill. That lane there, the slow lane, isn't a full slow lane. There's two travel lanes, but then there's that third lane that you can either immediately merge, or it forces you to turn down to the movie theater. So that is another option that it was recommending, is have it, like, you would install a concrete or some sort of meridian further up the road, so that that lane is forced to either merge into the fast lane currently, or force it to turn onto Collins Road. So that was another option that it came up with. So either way, that one's a very challenging topic.
Yeah, for sure. Councillor Liebert?
I really like Clearwater's solution.
Mhm.
The traffic circle in there, there's more than enough room in that intersection for traffic circle. And slow traffic down, and everybody will learn their right way real quick.
Like the traffic circle on the highway. Like
Right-
just
right
coming
at
into
the
Cache Creek,
It
you're
was very
slow.
there's
Yeah.
now traffic circle.
Yeah.
Right in the
Traffic
center of town. You're right, there is enough room.
There's
There's more than enough room.
in front of the castle.
Where that intersection is
Yeah.
right now,
Okay.
No, you mean the
The
big
main
intersection.
intersection, yeah.
the main intersection.
Highway
It's got
197.
all sorts of room, and it slow traffic down from all directions.
The other thing that was proposed, it wasn't long after I moved back, because I remember there was a huge protest against it at the time, because it would adversely affect the businesses that were in the intersection, which most of them are gone now. And that was to take it down, it would go through Caribou Sound Park and intersect at Stevens Road, and that's where the intersection would be, so it would shift it all
Sure.
over.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing, but the public came out in support of Chums, and I think the X was gone, but the Shell, the Esso, all of those businesses, the Jade Shop, that would all be adversely affected by that plan, and so that one was kind of abandoned, but maybe it's time to look at that one again, I don't know.
That was about the same time they had the suggestion of bringing the highway from Kamloops through this side of the hall, and Jack Jay's was in there.
Yeah.
We still have
It was an option that
maps.
was on the board.
Yeah,
We still
I
have
remember
the project boards here for that.
that project, yeah.
Yeah.
I
that
just remember the
shows-
Chamber of Commerce hosted a public and business meeting, and it was very, very well attended and very hopeful.
I think the traffic circle would cause the least amount of disruption though.
Yeah, like I say, that would certainly slow traffic down, because even the trucks would have to
Businesses,
hesitate to go through it, so.
Mhm.
everybody has to slow down.
Mhm.
They don't have a choice.
And there's enough room still to have yields in different directions.
Absolutely. That's probably,
There's some pretty big boats that come through town, like big giant equipment and going up
That's-
north,
that's why, like in Kamloops,
like
they have
house
that
trailers.
extra room there.
Yeah, and
That's
center.
up to highways to consider, that's not up to us, so. But it is a suggestion because
Well, I think we
The
need
solution.
to explore all the options, cause we do have a big problem happening.
Clearwater had a problem with speeding through Clearwater all the time, and that's solved quite a bit.
Yeah.
And there's a school right there, Clearwater too.
Mhm.
And there's there's no
Very
reason it
similar.
couldn't work here. I don't like traffic circles that much either,
No, me neither.
I love them.
but they do their job.
I'm okay with them now, but when they first came out, man, I went in a lot of circles.
Yeah, sometimes you have to go around a few times to get where you need to go.
Notice in the motorhome is always really interesting.
So,
The ones in Edmonton, you have the guy on the inside,
Yeah.
see where he's going.
that's
Yeah.
right, there's a lot of crashes, like,
The-
so I just wanna
Just
know,
around
like,
it.
what the next step is for this.
I think that'll be up to the administrator to work with the Department of Highways and Infrastructure and see what they're willing to consider.
Yeah, in a general sense, if council in a very general way likes these ideas, if a motion's put forward to say reach out to the appropriate groups in order to be able to try and make change in these areas, then we can move something forward to say the MLA, the local TNRD rep, and to the Ministry of Transportation, if that's the general consensus of council.
I'd just like to see the traffic circle added to the conversation.
And the other thing that,
Councillor Ranta.
just to make sure it's added, is that, the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those other suggestions that we had as well, about putting a big sign up, school zone.
Could the school district be copied on it as well?
Absolutely. Additionally, so we noticed, there's kind of a twofold thing. We noticed that there isn't as much of, because we have 2 speed radar signs ourselves. We got them through a grant. They're solar powered. 2 things kind of happened simultaneously. Somebody stole the solar panel for one of the speed signs, and we noticed a reduction in speed as a result of that radar sign. That's the one specifically on the top of the hill. So we've taken it down, it's here at the office, I'm ordering a new solar panel for it. So we have one that could be, like it's already programmed for 50 kilometers an hour. Literally, if we were permitted to, it would be as simple as taking that and putting it up somewhere, wherever it needed to be in the main part of town. Like the other one that's there is currently programmed for 30 kilometers an hour, it's a speed limit. But this one's already set for 50, so we could put it somewhere else if we were permitted. So we could utilize that if we wanted to. So there is something there. Additionally, there's a word for the RCMP cutout. There's a name
Yeah,
for it.
I can't think of it, but.
And I've already reached out to the RCMP asking how to get those to see, because one of the big issues with those, because they are very successful, but the problem is if they're unmanned, they get vandalized very quickly. So if we were to just put one up in town, I don't think it would last a week.
You have to take it down.
Yeah. Whereas if there's something that's easy to put up and down, maybe it makes sense to get some for the school, so that during the school hours, have it as part of the kit for the crosswalk person, for the crossing guard. They go and get their vest and their sign and their fake person. And so maybe that's an option, because when I was looking into them before, that was kind of the biggest thing I was hearing. They're very good, but they get damaged very quickly if they're just hanging out on their own. So I don't know what it takes to move them around. I don't know if they're big and heavy or if they're just coroplast and fold in half, but I've made that a note, because that might be, if you can get them in coroplast, because we could probably order one in, say, foldable plastic, and then the school could utilize them. It's an option.
Okay, onward. Is everybody finished with the traffic?
I was just gonna say, like, there's a lot of information here. Do we want all of this information? Like, I would share the concerns. So the first page of the. 1 second. But the challenges is kind of the technical summary, would that be something that would be shared with everyone as well? Or,
Just a question for the group. Would it make sense to invite the other political bodies to say a meeting just to discuss the topic? Rather than say, this is what we're doing, this is what it has to be. Invite them to sit down and maybe have a bit of a conversation on the topic. Because like you mentioned, there's a lot to discuss.
yeah,
On traffic safety, and then everyone's kind of on the same page. There may be things that we're unaware of that they can think of that
Yeah.
makes sense to have a conversation together about.
have the school board included in that as well.
Yeah, have the staff, because there might have been a close call that I don't know about, or
Yeah.
something that's kind of precipitating their, like, initiatives that
Yeah.
they're doing.
So I'm hearing the Village of Cache Creek, the MLA, the Teen Area Representative, and the school board for an initial conversation to kind of be
School
aligned.
District.
Or,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, district.
And it wouldn't hurt to have them at the table.
Yep.
Whether it would do anything or not, I don't know.
Okay, thank you. On to community events led by Village Cache Creek. Oh, Councillor Ranta?
Are we going to send a letter back to the, I think her name is Catherine, that,
Frost.
Yeah. Are we going to phone her, are we going to?
Can't send a letter right now.
Are we-
Normally we would.
Maybe I'll just call her and let her know where we're at.
Mhm.
Okay.
That would probably be the quickest, given the current situation with.
Oh, right,
Mailing?
sending a letter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
Otherwise, we normally would. Yeah.
Community events led by the village. Who wants to start? Councillor Peters.
This one, it's such a tough one because I'm becoming a little bit jaded. I've been one of the ones that's been pushing for an activities director, but I personally was involved with the wonderful little program we had this summer that the visitor center put on. And the very first one, there were quite a few, there's probably 10 or 12 kids at the first one. And it went down, I think the last one I participated in, there was the two I brought and like 3 other kids, and that's all. So, and then some of the events, Graffiti Days Family Dance is well attended, but I know there's been events at the Ashcroft Hub that have had to be canceled because of lack of participation. People say they want these things organized and they want these things, but then they don't support them. And so, it takes, like, just to use the family dance, for example, probably takes, at least 10 to 12 hours of planning time for a couple of individuals. Then the night of the event is good, and we're fortunate we have a Lions that support us with that, so they help out. But it's, I'm usually the rah guy that always wants these kinds of things done, but like the PAC movie event's probably a huge one. I didn't realize how low it was attended. I wasn't around that day, but and I know the library things, they do have some buy-in to. There are like the reading days and stuff, but considering the number now, there is the challenge that a lot of people work, and so having events in the daytime are difficult. But we've also heard that having things in the evening is a challenge, because by the time they have supper and they're getting ready for bed, which means you have to run them on the weekend, which increases costs, because then you have, if we're having staff involved at all, then we're in overtime. Volunteers are few and far between these days. Like, it's hard to get volunteers for things. I'm active in a lot of things, and sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get people out. So it's a little bit frustrating. I don't know whether have we surveyed to see what people want. I know we did quite some time ago, but I don't know if it's been done
We haven't done a recent survey.
recently to
No.
maybe see like as part of the reach out for the feedback is, you know, there has been these events and there has been poor attendance. Is there, you know, what's your input? Why didn't you and your family attend? You know, was it time? Was it money? Was it like all of those things? Because a lot of these events there is no charge for or very little charge for. So, you know, maybe try to get some kind of idea of whether we're not picking the right things or or whether it's just a lack of participation. And I don't know if the school has the same problem. I know we have a really active pack now for the first time in a while. So, you know, is it systemic or is it just the events we planned or?
Yeah, in my opinion, the movie nights were rather well supported by the community some years ago when we had them. And I don't know why they're not now.
Everybody has Netflix and Crave and Prime and they
Yeah,
can watch all those movies at home now.
Yeah, it's very difficult to
Councillor Ranta.
determine why.
Yeah.
I mean, so Cache Creek Elementary School, I believe, like the week before the end of September, which end of September is the cutoff deadline for the Ministry of Education to get the total number of students in each school in BC. So we were at around 126 around the time of September 30th. 60% of those students are not from Cache Creek. So it might be that our expectations of how many kids there are in Cache Creek to come to these things are greater than the reality. That's probably partly true. The other thing is that there was a very successful event that we didn't do that what isn't on the list, which is that TNRD movie night, which wasn't for children as much, but I wasn't there, but I heard it was pretty popular, but it was really well promoted. And so I think there's a few different things at play here, and I think like the graffiti dance, the family dance at Graffiti Days is growing, and I think people know when it's going to be, and it's sort of promoted well with all of the other advertising. So I think that's very successful. The Christmas light decorating contest seemed slightly busy when we were here in the office, and there were people not from Cache Creek that were here for it. I thought it was amazing, and I hope it isn't too much effort for staff to do that. I know it was after hours, but I thought it was fun, and I thought it was a good thing for the town. It was about Cache Creek, and it was pretty neat. I don't know too much about the other events, like the movie night. Same with me, I didn't realize how poorly attended it was. That's too bad because I know they worked hard to do that. The library events, when I years ago used to go with my kids, were always quite low attendance. And then, like, just so you guys know, the Ministry of Education has kind of a kids activity for 0 to 5. So these are called Strong Start Centers, and Cache Creek had one of those for a few years that was offered, I think, 2 different times a week. One was afternoon and one was early evening. They even were giving the kids enough food that could be their dinner, and the attendance was still so low that we ended up not having it anymore. There still is that happening in Ashcroft at the school. So there is kind of a known pattern. When parents were asked why weren't they using the Strong Start, it was about them wanting somewhere to drop the kids off at rather than having to stay and play with the kids and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it seems to be kind of a repeated pattern. I know at the pool we had a lot of Tuesday night activity nights, and because it was every Tuesday and it was really known that that was a Tuesday, plus the parents for older kids 7 and up could, well, that's not even that old, is it? Could just drop the kids off. That it was super utilized. Like some nights we had 80 people or more. So it's really hard to say. I kind of wonder if it was. I wonder if things like the movie night, if they were, and I'm not gonna tell people do something that isn't working, but I think that if it were more regular, perhaps if there was a little more time that could be given to promoting it, if there was some relationship built, because really that's what seems to be the key, is building connections and close relationships with the people that might attend in order to have them attend based on relationship, not just based on their independent self wanting to go see a movie, but they're coming because they're going to be part of a welcoming place and people they see and are encouraged to be there. So I guess what I'm saying is that I hate to say, okay, the town isn't supporting it, so we should cut it off. I like the idea of a survey. However, just from years of being in Cache Creek, I think that Sue is very right that people say they want it, but maybe they wouldn't come. So you can't really say, okay, they want it, we're going to do it. But I think keeping on trying is important, because once the leaders in the community kind of stop caring and stop having faith that the town can be vibrant, it will only get worse. It won't help to have gray glasses on when it comes to community events, and trying to say, okay, why was the TNRD movie night so successful? What helped it to be successful? What kind of promotions did that get? How come so many people bought? I don't know. You had to buy the tickets, right?
No, it was free.
It was free.
But there was some kind of ticket process, right?
I can't remember.
There was alcohol.
Oh yeah, it's.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's why I had to
buy tickets for the booze.
Yeah.
It was a sneak preview, local movie.
And it was a sneak preview.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was special.
It was a very special event
Yeah.
considering how much of it was
And it was
filmed
filmed here, yeah.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
think that had a lot to do with the draw, was that it was filmed in this area.
Yeah. I remember one time a magician came through town with a very beautiful assistant, and the posters were up all over the place. And that was very positive. I think it's just finding the zone is the problem.
Administrator Couture.
Regarding the Christmas lights, so the Christmas lights last year, it was thought of pretty late in the game. It was thought of and executed, and everything happened within 2 weeks in December. And we had very good community reception of it. It was something that, because people could vote for a long period of time, you could go do it at your leisure. And we received a lot of votes for it. And as you mentioned, there was a steady amount of people coming in through the office on the night of and that sort of thing. It wasn't huge numbers, but it wasn't nobody. There was always somebody coming through. So this year, staff were talking, we're definitely doing it again. It isn't a whole lot of work on our end to do. It's a little bit of planning, but it's nothing crazy. And it was really fun. The staff really enjoyed doing it. But we're going to be promoting it sooner so that people are a bit more aware of what's going on, opening the voting sooner, getting people to enroll their homes sooner, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
Good.
We should keep track this year of the houses that people wanted to vote for that weren't in the contest, and then contact them and say, hey, just so you know.
One of the items that was discussed was shortly after, probably just after the start of December, is when you really started seeing a lot of homes light up. So any ones that aren't on the list, they may like get a piece of paper in their door or something to say like, hey, you should enter because entering's free.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm glad.
No, it was well received, I think.
yeah, and so like this said, like that was really well received. And we tried a lot of new things this year, like with the change of the summer students. The full report on the summer students is in the regular meeting. But we tried a lot of different things to see what works and what doesn't. I think like everybody mentioned the graffiti days, family dance seems to be building attendance every year, and I think you're right. It's because it's continuous, so it's some of these, yeah.
Oh, lots of different things.
Some of these may stick if we give them a bit of a chance, but I know like it was fantastic that the library was able to work with us and have the like after school once a week events. That was really good that they were able to do that, but we didn't see a lot of people at it. And the stuff in the park, going back to your comment about having to be with the kids, I think that seems to be one of the recurring themes. And one of the things that's challenging for us as a village is to be in a position to be able to manage kids. And being honest, none of the staff signed up for that. That's came up in conversation.
Well, you have a whole long list of liability procedures
Yes.
for those kinds of events. So, yeah, I don't think anybody's really expecting that necessarily. I mean, Marcy did do a youth group way back when, and it was a drop off thing. But I think it was a lot about like Marcy and building the relationships, and then kind of ongoing every Wednesday or whatever it was.
Yeah,
But,
and she had a daughter in the age group.
Yeah,
and
it
all that
makes
sort of
sense.
stuff.
but I'm glad to hear about the lights.
So if there's, we'll continue, if we come across neat ideas, we'll let council know, think of things. We'll, through the conversation about the survey, I think a good way to phrase it is, if you go to community events, what ones do you go to? What do you like about them? But a big thing is, if you don't go, what are the barriers stopping you from
That's
going?
exactly the word I have.
Yeah.
Barriers.
Because like you mentioned, it could be time, financial, desire, just because it's not stuff that they want to do. I remember in one of the community surveys that we did do for that, one of the things that people said is there's nothing for people between like 19 and 40 to do. But then we started things like Oktoberfest. Well, we don't do that, other group does it. But then that didn't have a lot of attendance, so it's challenging.
The first year did last year, couldn't.
Yeah.
Hopefully they will again this year.
Yeah, so here's hoping. And that's in a couple weeks for anybody watching at home.
October 18th. It's
October 18th.
available. They're 2-for-1 right now.
Yep, 2-for-1 tickets right
So
now.
for $18, you get 2 tickets, a souvenir, 2 souvenir glasses, and 2 tokens each.
Yep.
For it, and the tokens work for food or alcohol.
And you can try lots of different beers and get drunk in the community hall.
That's
what you wanna
Okay, anything else on community events? Councillor Deaver?
The PNRD did I think it was a PNRD, did that survey about the walking park, like using the old Woodburn Ranch.
There was
Whatever
some,
happened to that?
they completed a park. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's done yet. It's a big region, so they had to interview each area and talk with every group, so I'm not sure where they're at with that. That's a good question. I haven't heard anything in like almost a year on that, so.
It's pretty wild. I was just surprised we never heard more of anything after.
Yeah.
Lots of people around town like to walk.
I can ask.
Thank you. Anything else under community events?
Well, just lastly,
Councillor Ranta?
this role of local government and partnerships section number 3 and 4, like I totally, like I I think that we gotta watch as a smaller organization, like that we don't, like we are already really stretched from the flood recovery, and I think just expecting to fill every single gap, it's a bit risky for us. So I do agree that that trying to seek out community groups is a smart thing for us to do. Like maybe there's a way we could, like one thing I would love to do is see the rules on the reader board change so that it could promote other things other than just what's in the hall, and that way it could be used to promote things, because I think a lot of it is just
General knowledge.
I do, because I didn't know
I
about
agree.
Oktoberfest at all. Like I didn't know what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So just for example, and like I try to pay attention. So, but like maybe I don't know. Maybe there are other ways of communicating what is going on, so that we can do a better job and help out that way. Like I at one point I think we were putting notices in with the school newsletter. We were partnering up so the communication flow is better between some of the community and the school. And they have an app. They have good communication, like electronic now.
And she said anytime we have an event, let us know, and we'll send it home. So
Yeah.
when I talked to her about the family events.
Yeah, good. So yeah, I think just beefing up the communication a bit might help. Not saying it will help. I mean, one event that I really miss, that I really love, is kind of having a Christmas music event at the hall, like some type of Christmas music event. We had a lot of fun at those.
Working on it.
Oh, excellent. Good. Well, that's nice. Nice to hear.
Carmen will want to play in it.
You're signed.
And just like that, event made.
Okay, anything further on community events? Yeah, I think a lot of it is the need for enhanced advertising. I think that's part of the reason that people aren't going to things like the movie night and things like that. If the PAC is doing it, the only people that know are, or most of the people that know, are the parents of children in the elementary school, but the rest of the community doesn't necessarily know. So I think that advertising for things like that needs to be enhanced in some manner. On to winter 2025 meeting schedule. I don't see any information on it here.
I requested
Yes,
this.
Councillor Ranta.
Okay, I requested this item because in the
Oh,
past,
it's your thing. It's
in,
good to know.
well, my calendar is really filling up for the month of December and November. And I know that we, as a council, and this is more about council meeting needs, is that, there's been some need to meet some deadlines towards the end of December, middle of right around Christmas, and then we started having meetings on the 23rd and 21st. Yeah, and so I'm
We
trying
need to avoid that.
well, I don't know what wheels are in process right now. Maybe it's kind of too late to change it for this year, but it would be really nice if we could try to push any of those necessary meetings just a little bit earlier, and to find out when those dates are sooner rather than later, just so that we're not trying to schedule a meeting a week from when the meeting is, because it just isn't going to work this year.
Absolutely.
Councillor Peters.
I would like to see us try to also build a static committee schedule as well, like for the, say, policy and bylaw and public works committees, so that, again, we're all busy, so that way if we know the third Tuesday of the month is policy and bylaw meeting at 10 o'clock at the village office, then that's in our calendars and we schedule around it. whenever possible, but, I know that sometimes that doesn't work for you, cause things are fluid here, but, it would make my life a lot easier if those kinds of things were scheduled.
Yeah, or Administrator Co-Chair.
Kind of to starting with topic number one, the big, well, I guess it's all the same topic. The big deadline for the fall season is having utility costs in place by December 31st. So that's a bylaw, needs the 3 readings and then separate, at least 2 meetings total, one with 3 readings, one with fourth and final. Preferably more meetings, always, so that you can fulsome discuss the topic. But that's kind of the tight timeline. Last year was unique because in December we were in the heat of union negotiations. So last year was a very tight time because we were trying to get things all tied up before the end of the calendar year. So thankfully we don't have that this year. Shouldn't be a factor there, but there's still the utility discussions. Our hope is to start having those utility discussions probably the last week of this month. And that would just be a meeting with council discussing kind of where we are, if there's some big changes that you want to see, or if there's not any big changes that you want to see, and how we administer the utilities. And then start to do we can get kind of a budget and plan in place. Like, we're already reviewing it. We've already talked with our team about what you're looking for as far as what are your needs, wants, and that sort of thing for the utilities for next year. And so, yeah, that's kind of the general idea. So the idea would be we would hope to have a meeting in first half of November, another meeting second half of November, and then have a meeting to look at a bylaw being in the first regular meeting of December, and then a special meeting to accept. Or if we're doing really well, we can push that forward, where the only meeting in December would be the meeting that we accept. And we could tighten that up in November, and the second meeting of November would be the one where we did, say, at least the first reading, maybe the second and third, depending on council's will. Looking at that, that would put that at the meeting of the 17th, on November 17th, would be theoretically looking at a tangible bylaw, and then hopefully accepting it on December 1st, if that makes sense. Because we could take any changes and all that sort of stuff.
Councillor Renton.
So like using the existing council meeting days for those meetings, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think that's to pass the bylaw. So we
Yes.
would have to have meetings prior to that
Yes.
to create the bylaw.
Yes.
Well,
So,
the 17th is a meeting day.
yeah, so what our ask would be is likely the last week of October, if there's a day that works for everyone, having a budget meeting with council to go over the utilities, expected budgets, and go over any points of concern that council has. And then we would hopefully be able to iron that out pretty quick, and maybe plan for a second meeting around between the 10th and the 14th of November. Should be a shorter version that would have like an ironed out version. We could take any points that you guys have there and then bring that forward on the actual council meeting of the 17th. So that would mean a special meeting at the end of October and another one mid-November, if that works for everyone.
That's better than December.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that kind of work for everyone? If we were to tentatively, is there a day in the last week of October that works better for some people than others?
Thursday and Friday are better for me. I have company.
So the
first 3 days.
30th and 31st?
29th and 30th.
It's Wednesday, Thursday.
Sorry, my bad. Or the 31st.
So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I know.
I have,
Those dates look good for me.
I can't
Next
say
day.
right now.
Okay.
Meeting nights on Halloween usually
Yeah.
don't work out very.
No, it would be in the daytime.
No.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
daytime
No, so
I
29th,
would say
30th,
that's
probably,
fine,
yeah.
so.
How about yourself?
Yeah, that's good.
Those all work. So it sounds like we kind of have some days. So I will chat with CFO Martini and get back to the group on that. And then secondary to that, looking at between the 10th and the 14th of November, recognizing that Remembrance Day is in that week.
And it goes on Monday, so the 12th, 13th, or 14th for me.
Tentatively, does that sound like it would work for everyone?
Yeah, we're
November 12th, 13th, 14th, theoretically?
Do you have to already have it?
No. Got TNRD on the 20th.
Those dates are way better for me than the October one.
Okay.
The
Well, we're thinking both.
I'll have to see what happens.
So I'll lightly pencil in something there. Again, after chatting with CFO Martini, just around how much time she figures that we would need from your days.
Okay.
And that's for budget discussion?
Yeah.
Utility rates,
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah, utility budget
Oh,
discussion
utilities,
specifically, yeah.
yeah. We've got TNRD budget coming up too. That's on November the 5th, from 9 till 4 p.m.
So on the, so definitely don't schedule anything for the 6th,
Yeah.
because you'll be at
Well,
home with a headache.
there's an inaugural TNRD meeting on the 6th and a hospital district meeting at 10 in the morning.
Busy week.
Yeah, so theoretically, we would do that, and then, we would hope to have a draft in front of council for November 17th. Perfect. And, yeah, aside from that, I can't see any other things unless something new comes
Yeah,
up.
okay.
There's always that possibility, there might be the odd thing, but. Yeah.
We're laughing then. Anything else for your purposes, Councillor Renta?
No.
No, okay. Any other discussions for this committee of the whole meeting? Seeing none, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor, those carried, thank you.